Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm bored out of my mind, so I decided that I'd crack open the camera and do a little surprise live stream for y'all. Got a couple different topics that I wanted to discuss today. As some of you are probably aware, I've been sick all week long. Uh, Turns out I tested positive for the coronavirus Omicron variant, which is sweeping the nation. Omicron is, I believe, 75% of all new cases. So yeah, I had Omicron COVID, and I'm feeling a lot better today though. But all week has been just very difficult for me. I mean, not as difficult as last weekend because I was having a really bad fever. Like I had a fever that was so bad, like I literally couldn't do anything. I was like disabled for almost 2 days straight, but I mean, I'm feeling a lot better now. My sense of taste is coming back. And I wish I could say that I'd be feeling great right now if it wasn't for the fact that I got fired from my job recently, too. I got fired for dumbest reason you won't even believe. Uh, Basically, it's company policy at the warehouse that I worked that you're not allowed to have an earbud in, and I got caught with my Bluetooth earbud in, so they fired me. Really dumb, really stupid. So, needless to say, I'm out of a job too. But it's all right. I can get another one of those sooner or later. For now, I wanted to take this time to kick it, relax, and I am starting to feel better, so I'm going to be busting out some good videos this week. More specifically, the two videos I promised since the start of this month. That is East Germany and the one on Soviet imperialism. Both videos are going to be out within the next week or two, or I'm at the very least going to try to get one of them out within the next week or two because the scripts for them are basically done. Uh, so I just really need to sit down and actually work on them. But all week I've just been kind of lethargic and unmotivated to do anything. And I partially attribute that to COVID, but also because, I mean, I've just been worked to the bone so damn much over the course of my job. I was just working 60 hours plus working on YouTube content. I've just been kind of kicking it this week. But needless to say, we are going to get this monkey train a rolling here soon enough. Got myself a Christmas present because I never buy myself anything. Just got a little vodka. But yeah. So anywho, how's it going, guys? I don't really have anything specifically planned for this stream. I was gonna talk a little bit about COVID. Let's talk about Omicron. You guys want to talk about Omicron COVID? Let's do this shit. Omicron. I'm sure you guys are familiar with this. It's a variant of COVID-19. Let's see what Omicron. What you need to know. CDC is working with state and local health officials to monitor the spread of Omicron. Uh, the variant likely will spread more easily than the original SARS-CoV-2. In fact, I believe Omicron is actually the majority of new infections right now. Severe illness, more data is needed on Omicron, especially reinfections and breakthrough infections in people who are fully vaccinated cause more severe illness or death than infection with other variants. Current vaccines are expected to protect against severe illness and death due to infections with Omicron. However, breakthrough infections in people who are fully vaccinated are likely to occur. So yeah, COVID-19 just keeps evolving. But regardless, you should still get vaccinated, even if you even if these vaccines won't give you full protection from the virus, it will allow your body's immune system to recognize it. So, I mean, you should still go and get the vaccine, especially if you're an older person. There's no reason not to get the new vaccine, really. I mean, Moderna's been pretty good. I'm going to be getting the vaccine as soon as I'm fully recovered, and I'm also going to be getting a booster shot. So after being sick with COVID for real, man, getting the booster shot and the Moderna vaccine, it should offer some sort of protection in the future from the coronavirus. If you're going out in public, get yourself a mask, wear yourself a mask, because our government is basically doing fuck all to protect us from it. Either we just don't have the infrastructure or the US government just doesn't give a shit. It's more or less what's been going on. Honestly, man, the worst thing about COVID for me has really just been the loss of taste. Like, I don't know if any of you guys have been sick with it, but when you lose your olfactory and your taste, life just gets so much more shitty because everything just tastes bland. Like, you literally can't taste anything. Like, I literally went out to the grocery store and bought the strongest hot sauce on the menu and got the hottest, spiciest hot sauce that I could, just so I could taste something, just so I can taste something. So yeah, I'm mostly recovered. I'm not really I'm still sleepy or kind of lethargic, but I'm mostly over it. Let's see what else we can find on Omicron variants. Let's see what else we got. Omicron variant causes Christmas flight cancellations and holiday travel headaches. Christmas Eve flight canceled and Times Square celebration. The latest coronavirus pandemic and Omicron variant live with updates. Ooh, let's go to Clinton News Network, the Jew-run liberal media, as it's called. Mayor of Cincinnati tests positive for COVID-19. Get fucked, Cranley. Get fucked. That's what you get for fucking sicking the police on a bunch of peaceful protesters. Dude enforced a fucking lockdown last year, or a curfew in wake of the BLM protests, and he had 300 peaceful protesters illegally detained in the police parking garage. And there were people, they couldn't even go to the bathroom for 14 hours straight. They couldn't go to the bathroom. You had people that needed insulin, that were diabetic, that were just trapped there, that needed their insulin to stabilize their blood sugar. And this asshole just had them all arbitrarily detained. So yeah, fuck him. About 600 flights have been canceled out of the U.S. on Christmas Eve. Jesus. Biden says there's no plans to shorten COVID-19 isolation period for everyone. President told reporters that there are no plans to shorten the isolation period for everyone testing positive for COVID. Some context. U.S. Senator for Disease Control and Prevention is shortening the isolation time for healthcare workers who test positive for COVID-19. I don't think that's a good idea. Italy reports more than 50,000 new cases. Let's go ahead and look at this, actually. COVID-19 new cases. So yeah, this is the Omicron wave. New cases, here we go. And new deaths. So yeah, this was last year. So I think it's safe to say that COVID is basically going to be an endemic. I don't think this shit's going away anytime soon. Just because we keep getting hit with wave after wave of it. And from what I hear, the death toll since last year, the death toll has actually been higher. It has officially been surpassed under Joseph Biden than versus Donald Trump. So we actually have a higher death toll under Biden than when Trump was president. Go figure. Within a similar time period. Go fucking figure. The year 2020, Trump's last year's president, and then we have a higher death toll under Biden. But anyways, so yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for COVID news. Yeah, no, I got fired for a really dumb reason. I mean, it is what it is. I hated working at FedEx anyways. But yeah, so that's pretty much all I have to say in regards to COVID-19. But now for the real reason you guys are here. The real reason y'all are here. I was going to react to some reactionary content, but before I do, vodka. Yeah, no, agreed. Every country that has had a socialist revolution is obviously managing the pandemic way better. Like that's not there's not even a question about that. But yeah, COVID-19 doesn't look like it's going away anytime soon. It just looks like our government's pretty much going to leave us out to dry. So yeah, it is what it is. God damn it! I actually enjoy the taste of vodka, but I can't taste anything right now. Unfortunately, this is my favorite vodka too. I actually like to savor the flavor, but I can't taste shit. In fact, why am I even doing with the orange juice? I may as well be drinking this shit straight, yo. May as well be drinking it straight because I can't even taste the orange juice either. You see, this is the real shittiest part about COVID. Fuck the fever. I was 102 degrees last weekend. I was 102 degrees, body aches, vomiting, uh, coughing, wheezing. Like last Saturday, I felt like I was dying. Like not even kidding. Like I just felt like I was gonna die. The only thing that really managed to get me through it, besides a lot of Advil and a lot of Dayquil and Nyquil, was taking cold showers and mega dosing vitamin C. Like COVID is no joke, man. I was sick as a dog last weekend. Like, don't kid yourself. Like, do what you can to protect yourselves because I'm a young dude with a healthy immune system, and it definitely gave me a run for my money last Saturday. But anyways, it's all right. I'm gonna be pacing myself. So let's talk about Jake Tran. Let's talk. Get at least get a pickle, bro. What do you think this shit is? Look at that. It's lime. It's lime flavored. It's already got the pickle. It's cucumber and mint. It's already got the pickle. We're already good. Yeah, like not being able to taste anything. Yeah, that's the worst part of it. Like you literally will not taste anything for weeks at a time, and it is horrible. I think that's actually way worse than the fever or any of the other worst effects of it. Like because I'm over the fever. The fever's past, but I literally can't taste anything. Private health insurance. If private health insurance companies refuse to pay for the care or the unvaccinated, how are the reactionaries going to deal with that? Well, the funny thing is the vaccine's free, which is pretty lit. So vaccine's free. COVID testing is now free. I mean, you can go to CVS and get your COVID testing. Yeah, I know I'll get it back eventually, but I still don't really have it back. But anyways, so long story short, let's talk a little bit about Jimmy Dore. Speaking of reactionaries, well, he's not really a reactionary. He's just like a grifter, basically. Why don't we watch a little Jimmy Dore? We're gonna watch a little anti-vax propaganda, guys. Jimmy Dore and Graham debate vax mandates. Biden, Bernie, and more. FDA corruption way worse than you think. But yeah, if you'll notice, like the streams, let's see, like Sean and Jen called out Jimmy Dore for this actually, but some of Jimmy Dore's most watched and most viral videos are when he was doing polemics against the vaccine mandate, and when he was in favor of the vaccines last year, like the vaccine mandate last year, but he suddenly conveniently changed his mind, and because as it turns out, it fucking pays to do polemics against the vaccine mandate when oh, here we go, Omicron very mild, end of the pandemic. Damn, my boy Dore here has been cranking him out. My boy's been cranking him out. But yeah, no, Sean and Jen did a really good video about Jimmy Dore, how he basically took this news article that was saying one thing about the vaccine, and he was trying to quote snipe clips of it so that he could say that it did the complete exact reverse opposite of the vaccine, or he was trying to say that he was trying to quote an article that was presenting information that positively indicated that the vaccine worked, and he was trying to present it in a light and say that it didn't work or that the vaccine was ineffectual or whatever. Just completely, totally fucking dishonest. So yeah, Democrat vaccine hypocrisy exposed. Which one's a good one, guys? Should we watch Vaccine Hypocrisy? I think we should check this one out. See what Jimmy Dore has to say. He's not really a reactionary, but we'll get to Jake Tran here. Is that his name, Jake Tran? Take Dran? Yeah, we'll call him Take Dran. There we go. Take Dran. That's what we shall call you. I've been told this dude is a hardcore reactionary, but let's go ahead and watch a little Dore first. First, I'm going to read another comment or two. Imagine being a Marxist and being against max vaccines and mandates. How do you feel about Richard Wolff being against the vaccine mandate? So here's what I think. I think that everyone should be required to get the vaccine. I would actually go much further. I would go full authoritarian when it comes to dealing with this fucking coronavirus, because the long-term damage, if we don't deal with it now, is going to be much, much worse, and it's going to cost a lot more human life down the line. So here's what we're talking about. Recruitment drive from the National Guard. We're going to recruit a bunch of people from the streets into a mass program. We're going to have them go out into the cities and in the countryside, and we're going to have these people, these specialists, these sterilization teams go around, force everyone to stay home for a solid 30 days. No one goes anywhere. Give everyone free gas, electric, and internet. Have them all paid and compensated for their time. Tell them all to stay put, don't go anywhere. And then we have our specialist sterilization teams going around dropping off groceries and dropping off like Amazon orders. So like you have these people going around, dropping everyone's shit off, dropping everyone's mail off, and then nobody's allowed to go anywhere. Everyone stays home. And if you're caught outside of curfew over the course of this 30-day period, then that's when we dispatch the death squads. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, no one's allowed to leave their home without some harsh financial penalties. Everyone stays the fuck home. Everyone stays the fuck put. We're gonna end this viral shit. We're gonna do what China did. All right. We're gonna make what the CCP did. We're gonna take what the CCP did, and we're gonna make that look like child's play. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking. We need checkpoints. We need a real proper lockdown. Keep everybody fucking home. Compensate everyone for their time, and then in a month and a half, once everyone's stayed patootie, then we can start slowly opening up. All right. But in the moment, we need to go full authoritarian and on top of that, go door to door administering vaccines to all. You either take the vaccine or you go to Gulag to learn about why the vaccine is actually good for you and how it actually helps combat the virus. So all the reactionaries, you're just going to get taken to jail and you're going to get forced to fucking learn basic medical biology on why the vaccine's actually good for you and works. And after you've been given your biology class, you're going to go take your vaccine and go home. That's how we're going to handle this shit. All right. And this is how I would handle things if I were dictator of America. But unfortunately, we don't live in such a based world. Anyways, I'm sorry, that had nothing to do with your original question. What does Richard Wolff have to say on the vaccine?
First of all, I think most of the people who are not vaccinated understand perfectly well that our individual freedoms have to be limited in all kinds of ways because of our collective security, because of our need to survive as communities. Let me give you examples. Many of the people opposing vaccination because they're angry that it limits their freedom or is government intrusion or government overreach.
Yeah, no, so I'm not saying Wolff is saying this. In fact, it sounds to me so far that he's going to go in the opposite direction of this tangent. But in my opinion, not doing a proper lockdown and not temporarily restricting people's individual freedoms and liberties is actually much more damaging to people's freedoms and liberties down the line, because by not temporarily restricting people's freedom of travel and movement in the short term, we are limiting the freedom of our fellow countrymen not to die from a deadly virus in such a way. So it makes absolute positive fucking sense to deal with these basic restrictions and keep everyone in place, shelter in place, lock down, just get it over with. And then, we can slowly open up afterwards, and then we can celebrate our individual freedoms. I'm all about them individual freedoms, all right? All the way up until those freedoms restrict the freedom of others. And by allowing everyone to have the freedom to move around during pandemic time is basically to give people the freedom to take the risk to get sick, to get others sick, and to continue this fucking deadly ass pandemic. Like I said, not saying Richard Wolff is saying this. This is what I'm saying, but I'm going to go and start from the beginning and speed it up a bit.
First of all, I think most of the people who are not vaccinated understand perfectly well that our individual freedoms have to be limited in all kinds of ways because of our collective security, because of our need to survive as communities. Let me give you examples. Many of the people opposing vaccination because they're angry that it limits their freedom or is government intrusion or government overreach are perfectly comfortable with a traffic light. Let me remind you, a traffic light is when the government says to you, if you go through this traffic intersection when there's a red light, we're going to ticket you or arrest you because that endangers all of us trying to get through that intersection. People understand it perfectly well. We understand it likewise when a private entity, a building, for example, says there can be no smoking in the building because secondary smoke has been shown to cause cancer, etc., etc., etc. We have accepted that. We say you cannot drive a car at all unless you have a government mandated license because we don't want it to take the risk to ourselves, our families, of people driving who don't know how to do that and haven't qualified in terms of getting a license. Let me give you another example. When we get sick and we visit a doctor or are treated by a nurse, we need to know that it's safe to be treated by that person. So we have mandated all kinds of tests and qualifications individuals have to satisfy before they can be a nurse, a doctor, a practitioner.
Commentary. Only in America would I be weary of trusting the doctor or the nurse. If I lived in a country where healthcare was nationalized and it was a national healthcare plan, if it was a country where the doctor was clearly and obviously not in it for the money, then I would be much more trusting of a doctor. Like, I would be personally much more trusting of a physician in, say, Cuba or North Korea than I would of any physician in the United States. I'm actually not very trusting of American doctors at all. And you shouldn't be, for good reason. Like, because it's a for-profit healthcare system where they're trying to fleece you. So they're gonna fucking suggest procedures where they're gonna suggest procedures which are more costly, more profitable, that you may not even need. I mean, they're gonna push medication you might not need. They're gonna fucking what's it called? It's where they healthcare fraud, billing fraud, healthcare fraud. I'm just saying, like, there's a direct financial incentive to fleece American healthcare patients. That's all. So I think there a good amount of distrust of doctors in America is healthy. However, if we were in Sweden or Cuba or some other country where it wasn't for-profit healthcare, then now that's a lot more grounds to trust doctors.
Of a whole variety of medical interventions. And everybody understands that. The vast majority of those opposed to vaccines understand it. So what's going on? Well, there's an anger about government mandates. Government's telling you what to do. And part of that is perfectly rational. We have come to learn, I'm going to give you examples in a moment, that corporations are continuously using the government to push something that's profitable for them, whether or not it's healthy or safe or good for us. So being suspicious about government mandates is perfectly reasonable. Ditto being suspicious about big pharma, drug companies. We have thousands of
Okay.
examples.
So has anyone ever heard the term "a broken clock is right twice a day"? So all these, I mean, it is indeed true. They want to get people vaccinated. They want to give people resistance and immunity to the virus so that they can send them to go out and work, you know? That way they don't actually have to do proper lockdown. They can keep people working. However, that doesn't change the fact that these vaccines give you protection against the virus. Okay, big fucking whoop, your boss wants you to be healthy. He wants you to have resistance. I mean, if it's free and it's going to give you some kind of protection against the virus, then why not take it? Excuse me. Speaking of corona.
Of drug companies making claims for drugs that aren't valid, pushing medicines that haven't been actually tested properly. I think much of the opposition to vaccination is rational. But I think the response to those suspicions, that's irrational. Because the way to react to this problem is not to forego the vaccination that can save your life and that can make you less of a danger to the people closest to you and to the community in which you live. The suspicion, the action, the reaction to the whole story is perfectly understandable and reasonable. And we should be very suspicious of the politicians who get up on the high horse and pander to this kind of craziness. That's sort of like the QAnon folks telling us it's a great conspiracy from outer space. So are we suspicious of government mandates and corporations cooperating? Of course we are, and we have every reason to be. I won't remind you of what the cigarette companies knew and did nothing about for decades. I won't remind you of the struggle around the world that mothers had with babies as they thought about breastfeeding versus formula. And a big formula producer, the Nestle company, made sure that was a big debate, even though we now know, and we knew then scientifically, that breast milk is infinitely superior. Okay, money dominates political discourse in our culture. We shouldn't be surprised. But we should understand that if we're confronted with a crisis like COVID-19, we have to wonder not about whether we ought to do something, but whether what's mandated on us comes out of something we're happy with or unhappy with. The government didn't do it right. It should have come slowly and had a proper conversation and brought the scientists to the fore. The scientists might agree, but at least they're fighting it out over what's best for our health. The minute you allow private capitalism in there, you got a whole nother objective. Make money, have one shot, have two shots, have three shots. You can see what's going on. So
yeah, but like, this is one of those instances where, yeah, it's private pharmaceuticals that develops this vaccine, but the research is there. The science is largely settled. The vaccine works. I mean, yeah, it doesn't stop the virus entirely, but I'm just saying, if you're getting shot at by 5.56 NATO rifle caliber rounds, is it not better? And the only choice of body armor you have is level 1 body armor rated to stop pistol rounds and rated to stop knife attacks. Is it not better to wear the armor because it could still save your life even though it's not quite as good as it could be? So, I mean, I get where he's coming from. Generally, I'm not trusting of corporations at all. But this is one of those instances where I think a broken clock is right twice a day. And personally, just get the fucking vaccine, people. Like, seriously. Get the fucking vaccine. Get your round of booster shots. And when you're out in public, wear a mask. Social distance, wear a mask. Keep a little bottle of hand sanitizer with you. Clean your hands. Seriously. Every time they lax these regulations, every fucking time they relax these regulations, the outcomes are irrevocably worse. Anyways, COVID conspiracy theories are bullshit. The real conspiracy is that the imperial core governments will not waive the patient protection. Have the Chinese vaccine be the mandated vaccine, and all the dangoids will be aesthetic about mandates. Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, no, I'm fully aware of the exact group that you are talking about, comrade. I know exactly who you're talking about. I'll be happy with the Moderna because this shit is cash. Let me show you guys. This is settled science right here. State of the art. My sister fucking red pilled me on Moderna. The Moderna vaccine is tier 1. My sister came to me, she red pilled me on how this shit works. The Moderna vaccine uses RNA to provide a blueprint for your cells to build your body's defense against COVID. The Moderna COVID vaccine does not contain SARS-CoV-2. Do you hear that? It doesn't contain it, or any virus, just the blueprint to help fight against it. So what this does is it gives your body the information, the genetic material needed to develop some sort of resistance against the virus.
And then, let's take a quick look at the science behind the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine.
You see this shit? In my authoritarian America, this is what all the reactionaries are going to be sitting down in those little classes and watching. They're going to be watching short little YouTube videos like this. We're going to make these assholes learn science, goddammit.
But first, here's some important information about the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. The Moderna COVID-19 vaccine has not been approved or licensed by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Oh, that's why people are freaking out. Okay.
FDA, but has been authorized for emergency use by FDA under an emergency use authorization. It developed a COVID-19 vaccine based on the science of mRNA, an area of focus for Moderna.
Yeah, actually, we don't need to watch this. So yeah, that's the general idea. It gives your body the genetic material needed in order to fight the vaccine. Moderna has the best results against Delta. Yeah. So, anywho, I'm going to go ahead and, speaking of Richard Wolff, let's do a little quick change of subject. Let's do this. I'm going to find this article, speaking of Richard Wolff, and it's something I think you guys are going to appreciate. Richard Wolff. It's basically about Richard Wolff being a wrecker. All right. Where were we? Oh, yes. I was just searching for the Richard Wolff. Richard Wolff. There's an article about Richard Wolff and how he's basically... Oh, here we go.
New book.
Here we go. Here's the original text. I want to show you guys this shit. I want to make a larger video about this topic eventually. I went nowhere. I am right here. So check this article out, guys. So, Richard Wolff is basically, for lack of better terms, he's an opportunist. He is an okay introduction to leftism, but honestly, you should, if you know anybody who's new to the subject, you should really reference them to Michael Parenti as soon as possible, because Richard Wolff is fundamentally an opportunist, and if we go through this article, I intend to show you exactly why and how that is. So check this out. It's by Fitzgibbons, Daniel Fitzgibbons. By the time the Soviet Union was officially dissolved in 1991, analysts and politicians declared the breakup as the death knell of communism, but a book by two economics professors questions whether a true communist class structure ever existed in the USSR. In Class Theory and History, Capitalists and Communism in the USSR, Professor Stephen Resnick and Richard Wolff, both specialists in Marxian econ, applied their previously developed class theory to analyze the creation, evolution, and demise of the Soviet Union. Their conclusion, sure to rile critics on both the left and right, is that the 20th century great ideological schism that actually pitted the private capitalism of the West against the state capitalism of the USSR, cringe, quote, the struggle between communism and capitalism has never happened, said Wolff. The Soviets didn't establish communism. Though they thought about it, they never did it. Asinine. Totally asinine. So I guess what, they just didn't feel like doing it? I guess they just didn't feel like actually doing communism. It was just state capitalism. But anyways, under true communism, says Resnick, workers would control all aspects of production and decide how any surpluses are used. But in the wake of 1917 revolution, the Bolsheviks imposed a layer of managers to operate industry in the name of the people. That system, which Resnick and Wolff call state capitalism, actually ceded decisions about the use of profits to government officials. Ooh. If communism ever existed within the USSR, it was during a brief period following the revolution when the Bolsheviks distributed land to the peasants, who formed farming collectives. Working at a local level, farmers reached consensus on how the surplus product would be used. Oh, I see. But as Wolff notes, those collective decisions didn't fit into the plans of the Soviet leaders. By the mid-1930s, the Soviet state was having such a hard time getting enough food to feed workers that Stalin decided that the whole revolution was at risk of the farmers, says Wolff. In response, the Soviet leader abolished the collectives in favor of state farms run like factories, which is a step closer to communism, not further. Yeah, no, like there were still collective farms. Many of them were transformed into Stokovs, but the kolkhozs never went away. And these kolkhozs were collective, they were collective property. Like the farms were collective property. Like what the fuck is he talking about? That's what I'm saying. Like this whole state capitalism narrative doesn't make any sense to me when you have a completely new mode of production. Like you don't have business cycles anymore, and the law of value is no longer dictating the main driving force of their economic activity. Instead, it's based off political decisions now. Like it's like the economic activity are evaluated based on political decisions made by planners. Like there wasn't like wages, employments, goods, the prices of shit, all these things were determined internally rather than according to the whims of the market. It was all internally planned. I don't know how anyone reaches this far where they say it's state capitalism when their economy, like at cursory glance, does not operate as such, like even in the least bit. Resnick and Wolff stated that state capitalism was originally seen by the Bolsheviks as a necessary step in the evolution towards a communist state, but after Lenin's death in 1923, Stalin short-circuited those plans by simply declaring the Soviet Union a communist socialist state. According to Wolff, it was a politically expedient solution intended to assuage the masses who have already suffered through the poverty of czarist system and the bloodshed of World War I and the post-revolution Civil War that brought U.S., British, French, and Japanese troops to Russian soil. Faced with the responsibilities of governing and preserving their power, Soviet leaders found it easier simply to declare the revolution a success. They couldn't fight 12 battles at once, said Wolff. They had to choose between their own focus on government and the exigencies of the moment. It was a way to say that all the sacrifice had, like, what the fuck are you talking about? They did fight 12 battles at once. Stalin's declaration eased pressure on the Soviets to move a fully communistic system. According to Wolff, he hammered home the point by killing anyone who disagreed. Yeah, no, he didn't do anything of the sort. Shut up. Just shut up. He didn't kill anyone who disagreed. He killed anyone who got in the way and threatened the integrity of the new socialist system. All right? So, shut up. Fuck you. You're dumb. You just don't know what you're talking about. The decision to embrace state capitalism, says Resnick and Wolff, helped sustain the Soviet state for several decades by providing funding for public services, ranging from healthcare to education. For the once poor nation, said Wolff, the change was a remarkable phenomenon. By the 1980s, the state capitalist industries and farms were incapable of generating enough surplus to sustain industrial capital accumulation, maintaining the USSR's superpower status, meeting consumer demands of the population, and pay for the bloated Communist Party apparatus and bureaucracy. Something had to give, and the Soviet leaders began to introduce more elements of private capitalism. Ultimately, that also loosened the political monopoly held by the Communist Party. Soon the Soviet republics began to go their own way. Again, not true either. What happened was Gorbachev introduced perestroika and market reforms, which allowed the state-owned enterprises to operate like traditional private firms and keep their turnover, which was subsequently used as tax revenue by the Communist Party and the state. So when you have all these firms that are allowed to keep all their turnover, and you have all these managers that are functionally capitalists now, you deprive the state of tax revenue, and you basically bankrupt the union. You bankrupt the state. Otherwise, their economy was running just fine before that. Like they didn't experience bankruptcy, and the collapse of the USSR wasn't because of its socialist economy or inherent contradictions with such. Yeah, by the 1980s, they were dealing with stagnation, but the answer to that shit wasn't fucking perestroika. Anyways, there's just one excerpt I want to show you guys. Resnick and Wolff, the Soviet experiment raises many questions about the nature of future communism as an economic system. In fact, they devote an entire section of their book to defining communism and socialism, whose philosophical origins go much further than back to Marx. As part of their decade-long research, says Resnick, and two economists evolved into the vast literature on utopian thought. The utopian literature was long on lofty ideals of working together for the common good, but devoted little attention to how workers should receive the immediate profits of their labor. This is like petty bourgeois. This is very much a kind of petty bourgeois conceptualization of what socialism should be about. Like, workers, the workers themselves, like within immediate local areas, should decide what to do with the profits. So, like, what about taxes? What about funding to the road or to the military? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, how do you even run fucking civilization? Perestroika? What the fuck do you motherfuckers think perestroika was? They literally let them do that, and it didn't work. It actually led to the wrecking of the Soviet economy. Or how about early 1917, 1918, before war communism? Lenin tried to do the exact same thing. They let them do this shit. This worker owner let them keep fruits of their labor type shit, and it didn't work then either. What the fuck? Similarly, says Resnick, early Christian writings espouse notions of sharing and meeting of the needs of all members of society, but the professors found no evidence that communism has been tried on a national scale. Now, with the collapse of the USSR, says Wolff, it is time to drastically rethink the whole idea of communism. What it means to be a socialist is up for grabs, he says. Marxism is up for grabs. Remember when I called Richard Wolff an opportunist like 10 minutes ago? This is the reason why. He's basically trying to redefine Marxism so that he can create his own little spin-off brand of it. So fuck the centuries of theory and class struggle. Fuck all of the established Marxist theory and texts. No, I'm just going to be a revisionist. That's basically what this is. So yeah, this is why I take serious issue with Richard Wolff and why I think he is fundamentally an opportunist. But for those of you who are interested in this article, I will link it right here. This is what happens when you get your history of another country from your own country. Exactly. Now, where were we? Oh, yes. I've got a link right there, so if anyone's interested in checking out that article, you can. But yeah, that's about all I have to say about Richard Wolff. He's an opportunist who has no vision beyond the co-ops that he espouses, and it is quite unfortunate that he cannot see the forest for the trees. Now, where were we? Right. So someone, what the fuck? This guy just gained 1,000 subs. God damn. Wish I gained subs that fast. The Vatican's unimaginable wealth. Oh my lord. Look at this motherfucker. This is what I need to step on my A game, man. I need to be uploading shit this often. So let's see what this dude has. Let's see what this fascist idiot has to say. Stealing jewelry. Real way to make money fast. 1971, the year humanity became enslaved. Okay, let's do this.
For the decades leading up to 1971, the US experienced a ton of real massive growth. Workers went from making $675 a year, or $19,000 in today's money, to more than $56,000 in today's money.
Wait, what?
Dollars a year, or $19,000 in today's money, to more than $56,000 in today's money by the late 60s. People enjoyed paid leave and sick days for the first time. They could pay off student loans, buy houses and cars, and enjoyed a financially stable life. Payroll increased by at least 32% in the 60s alone. Fiber optic cables, LEDs, weather satellites, the heart pacemaker, the internet, DRAM for computers, lasers were all invented in the 60s alone. We landed on the moon. The upper, middle, and lower classes were all moving up together in harmony. But then, 1971 hits, and something really weird happens.
Yeah, we have the oil crisis, or the oil embargo, I believe.
The economy kept growing, except there was no longer everyone getting richer together. Now it was only the rich getting richer, and the middle and lower class basically flatlined, to this day.
Even with globalization, even with the computer revolution, the internet revolution, the biotech revolution, it somehow has not added up to quite as much of a difference as people thought. And if you were in the mid-1960s, people thought it was going to be the Jetsons, we're going to have vacation trips on the moon and flying cars and robots doing all your work. And it hasn't quite happened. It's been just much slower.
Right. The only robot that does any work that I'm aware of is the Roomba little carpet sweeper.
There isn't as much progress happening as advertised, and that rather than racing towards utopia or dystopia, the much bigger problem is one of relative stagnation. It sort of manifests economically, and that for the first time we have a younger generation that's not clearly doing better than their parents do.
Family incomes are up, some from the late 60s, but it's not clear that's the right metric because you have a lot of families where both spouses are working.
And let me guess, the answer is fascism. Like, that's how a lot of these right-wing channels work, right? Like, they use faux populist sounding rhetoric. Like, this is all shit that progressives been recognizing for a while. Like, they're pointing out the crisis of neoliberalism. So the answer is, what is the answer? I mean, to reactionaries, it's deport everybody that's not a white, cisgendered, red-blooded, heterosexual man and kill anybody that isn't a white, cis, red-blooded, heterosexual man. You know what I mean? I just want to know what their solutions are, because I've gotten solutions from that to depopulation, to deportation, to I don't know, like wanting to return to this idealized time that hasn't actually existed. And like, these people they're also the very first people to fucking blame socialism for all of the problems caused by capitalism too. It's kind of funny. Like, they'll blame socialism for all of this shit. Well, yeah, it's because the government doing stuff. Ugh.
That's very different from the world of the late 60s.
The inflation rate skyrocketed from around 4% at the start of 1971 to more than double at 8.8% in 1973. By the end of the
So yeah, so let's talk a little bit about stagflation. All right, you guys want to talk about stagflation? Let's talk about stagflation. Stagflation. Stagflation is an economic phenomenon characterized by a combination of economic stagnation and rampant inflation, or increasing unemployment as well as inflation at the same time. That's stagflation. So the inflation rate is skyrocketing, but no new jobs are being created, and the unemployment rate is steadily on the rise. This is a fucking terrible thing because you have a growing reserve pools of labor on one hand, while on the other hand, you also have increasing prices of goods and commodities. So let's talk a little bit about this mythology. The U.S. economy was really only thriving during the 50s and 60s. You know, the U.S. economy was only thriving during the 50s and 60s. That's when things were growing. We were doing very well, a lot of strength. As it turns out, all it requires for relative class peace and relative economic peace requires the rest of the world to be bombed to smithereens. Isn't that crazy? So we can have the 50s and 60s again. All we have to do is bomb millions of people to death. So that's what it's going to take, all right? And that's ultimately what the real key to the post-war boom was, after all. Well, 70s rolled around, rate of profit was crashing, and because of unions, because of the bargaining chip workers had in the United States, because that's when our unionization rates were the highest, firms had virtually no incentive to hire more people. And not only that, advances in productive forces and so on saw to it that we wouldn't have more hiring in manufacturing, more employment through manufacturing. So what ended up happening is neoliberalism. That's how the 1970s economic crisis ended up unfolding. Neoliberalism. You had the aggressive gutting of the commons, the privatization of the commons, the gutting of the unions, and the dismantling of protection for laborers. Thank you, Ronald Reagan. And following this, we had the emergence of the service economy, where workers are way more precarious and where workers don't make anything like what they used to. But hey, it solved the problem of stagflation. So the rest is history. I hope that is a nice little summary for you guys what happened.
70s, it would go up to 12%. Household debt exploded exponentially after 1971. So while lower and middle class income stayed stagnant, they were simultaneously getting shackled in debt. College tuition also suspiciously started skyrocketing after 1971. And ask yourself, how many new, real, physical, truly revolutionary technologies like LEDs or fiber optics have we really seen in the last few decades besides reusable rockets? Not much. Something happened. The rules of the game were changed. It was no longer a level playing field.
Neoliberalism. That's what happened. Like, do I need to spell it out for you people?
The best part is that it slipped right underneath the noses of the middle and lower class. And all the signs point back to this one year, 1971. It was the year that rearranged the very fabric of society as we know it. But to understand what happened, we have to take a journey all the way back to World War I. And if you want some free Bitcoin, you can earn up to $250.
Suck my
Thanks to
dick.
BlockFi for sponsoring this video.
Suck my dick. Fuck you. I hate that shit, man. Get to the fucking point, dude.
Before World War I hit, trade around the world was conducted on a very simple gold standard. Basically, whatever you wanted from another country, you would pay for it in the required weight of gold. This meant that countries that had lots of stuff to export would have more gold than countries who didn't have a lot to export. And before World War I, the system worked pretty well. The governments around the world kind of got...
The gold standard went away way before this. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. The gold standard, for those of you who don't know, is the standard which tied the US dollar to gold. But really, the gold standard actually went away in the late 19 teens. It went away around as early as like 1918 with the establishments of the Federal Reserve, because that's when fiat money actually got like started off. Is with I think it was Teddy Roosevelt who signed the act which created the Federal Reserve, and that's when they started basically inflating the currency, which is actually a necessary component to any modern economy. Is that Brezhnev?
Wrong,
Brezhnev,
perfectly.
is that you? It's Brezhnev. It's Eyebrow Man. What's up, dude? But anyways, Yeah, no. So the gold standard, that ship sailed long before that, and it went away a while before that. In fact, it was during the 1930s. This is something they won't tell you about Franklin D. Roosevelt. Let's talk a little about Franklin D. Roosevelt. You guys ready to learn some shit? Let's talk about this motherfucker right here. This motherfucker, all right? Let's talk a little bit about Franklin D. Roosevelt. Here is how he financed the New Deal and all of the great social programs and the great society and all the economic problems. All the social democrats like to fucking fillet Franklin D. Roosevelt. Well, let me tell you how he did it. He mandated the liquidation of American gold. He basically forced the general public to sell their gold to the U.S. government well below market prices so that he could go and fucking sell the country's gold stockpiles at or above market prices, basically fleecing, ripping off, and fucking over Americans. Yeah, no, he basically took all of Americans, forced them. Yeah, like look at this shit, man. Gold. Look what he did to gold. The Gold Reserve Act made gold clauses unenforceable and authorized the president to establish the gold value in dollar by proclamation. Immediately following its passage, Roosevelt changed the statutory price of gold from 20 to 35 per ounce, thereby devaluing the US dollar, which was based on gold. So yeah, no, it was Franklin D. Roosevelt that took us off the gold standard. Then he liquidated the gold supply of the general United States populace, forced the general public at the threat of prison to sell off their gold reserves to the U.S. government at a fraction of its cash value so that he could sell it on the global world market price so that he could jumpstart the U.S. economy via fleecing American workers. That's something that jackass here, what's his name? Take Dran, won't tell you that. He won't fill you in. Actually, wait, I don't think that's my boy Brezhnev. I think that's Nixon.
Trading with gold was simple and easy, but then World War I came around and threw the entire system on its head. The war brought a lot of infighting and disagreements between countries that used to work together. It put a lot of powerful countries in debt. They had to spend a lot of their gold buying weapons and equipment to fight against each other, and gold reserves started being spread around the world much more thinly. By the end of World War I, the US had a serious gold deficit, and once the Great Depression hit, this got even worse. So in 1930, the government pretty much forced Americans to exchange all the gold they had for dollars. They increased the price of gold from $20 an ounce to $35 an ounce, hoping that this would discourage Americans from buying gold in the future. This also meant that a lot of foreign countries suddenly got interested in trading their gold for dollars, since they would be getting so much more money.
I want to know what the solution is. Is it fascism? Like, is it genocide? Like, red pill me. Tell me what's so spectacular about 71.
Too late, because the dollar amount in their bank account stays the same, but the value of those dollars goes down. What started in 1971 was the greatest con and wealth redistribution scheme humanity has ever seen, and with it, the Bretton Woods system officially came to an end.
The Bretton Woods system, for those of you who don't know, was it was basically what the world economy was based off of after World War II. It was kind of the global social democratic state capitalist era of the United States, Western Europe, as well as the Asian tigers. It's what allowed their economies to thrive by being connected in a global system of wealth and trade. So, anywho, the Bretton Woods system came to an end. That's what it's called. And so too did the state capitalism, and that's how we transitioned to neoliberalism. Why are we 10 minutes in and you still haven't said this? Brave New World. It's neoliberalism, bro.
The money printer was let loose, and the chaos that resulted was subtle, like boiling a frog. Immediately, the dollar's value dropped at least 50%. All that new money pushed up the prices of assets like real estate and stocks, which the rich own and the poor don't, furthering the divide. What used to take 30 hours of work to buy 1 unit of a publicly traded stock in 1860 would take at least 126 hours of work today. 1971 was also the year that the 30-year mortgage standard was introduced, which meant that where you could have bought a house for just 3 years' salary in 1950, you're in debt for the next 30 years today.
Instant money, M-O-N-E-Y, in the form of a convenient personal loan.
You're right. You are so correct. Yes. Property is more expensive today. You are absolutely correct. It's almost like there's only so much room on earth. And when you leave it up to private actors to speculate on the prices of life supporting necessities, then they're going to game up the price. You know, it's almost like we shouldn't leave housing and basic necessities that people need for basic human life to participate in modern society should be left up to the private sector. I'm glad you've come to this conclusion. Does that mean you're a socialist now? No, it doesn't. It means yeah, exactly. The solution's fascism. These people have no answers.
Household debt explodes exponentially, college tuition explodes exponentially, the number of lawyers quadrupled. And what did all that debt and divide mean for middle and low income families? Over half of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, even when they make more than $100,000 a year. Most Americans that can save have less than $5,000 in their savings accounts.
Okay,
it means, ladies and gentlemen, that the government has so far robbed 80% of your wealth in the span of under 2 years. And although you may only feel this theft in higher gas prices and such so far, it's probably going to get a lot worse.
So then you have no solution, because as I'm going through the rest of this, you've got another advertisement shilling for fucking Bitcoin or whatever, and you've got no solution. Fucking good job.
This is Miles Kwok, an exiled Chinese billionaire who at the peak of
Blow me. Anyways, suburban hell skyrockets the price for housing. Big wigs, no scarcity is a myth, a right-wing myth designed to show you a limited pie, and they tell you to divide it up. Yeah, no solution. No solution whatsoever. Again, actually, their solution's fascism and genocide. I'll show you what their solution is. Their solution will take us in the direction of an American version of this. But anyways, that's their solution, if you must know. Because if these people had things their way, that's the direction we would end up going. Anyways. We are just 50 years behind in the legwork. Interesting. Oh man, I'm hot. If the world's resources were being used, the people wouldn't have all the huge military and ours be 10 times bigger than... I have no idea what you're saying. Anyways, destinyism. Yes, manifest destinyism. That is the next higher stage. Well, needless to say, I want to see what else this guy has to say. Let's watch some other videos. You know, it's times like these where I really think about how easy it would be to just basically grift as a right-winger. But anyways, the CIA, the man the CIA fears most, the plot to assassinate Julian Assange. Recycling's literally a scam. You guys want to learn about how recycling's a scam? Let's do it.
So you're a plastic company. You've teamed up with oil companies to create a miracle product that can do pretty much anything. It's cheap, durable, easily accessible, and easy to mass produce. What more could you ask for?
I know, I feel like I'm dreaming.
And by the 1980s, you're in your prime.
The problem isn't the plastic. The problem is that the plastic is designed for single use. Like, it's used for single use packaging, single use products, and so on. When we could be using another material which decays much more rapidly. We have rapid decay plastics and so on, and bags and whatnot, which rot and decay much faster. But the problem is that we use a material that's good for thousands of years to package all of our shit just once. It's dumb. It's fucking dumb. That's the real problem.
The only problem is plastics can't be destroyed. They just keep piling up and up and up. Now, this is actually not a problem for you. The more plastic that piles up means the more plastic you're selling. But the real problem is the general public. See, the masses crave to feel that they're good people, that they're the righteous ones, the moral ones, fighting against evil. And polluting the planet with plastic trash that takes upwards of a half a millennia to decompose makes you an easy target for the plebs. In their eyes, you're the evil scapegoats. So the general public starts protesting the plastics industry. Now, this is bad, because you know the success of anything
the public starts protesting the plastic industry, and then small capitalists, medium and large capitalists begin to co-opt the protesting and try and turn it into something profitable and commodifiable. So that's how we get shit like the Extinction Rebellion. Yeah. Good old glow ops like the XR.
Political movements, educational movements, businesses, entire industries, including the plastics industry, rely on the approval of the public. If the public turns on you, you're done. So you need to come up with a solution, something that will change the public's perception of plastic, something that will allow them to keep consuming plastic without feeling guilty about themselves for destroying the planet. The only problem is, most plastic is literally not recyclable. It's not just that you can't recycle plastic, it's that the process to do so is so expensive and labor intensive that making new plastic will always be cheaper. So you settle on the next best thing. This is the recycling symbol created in 1970. And this is the resin identification code, a symbol created by the plastics industry in 1988, a symbol that's on almost every piece of plastic you buy today. Now, if you're saying to yourself that symbol looks shockingly similar to the official recycling symbol, you'd be correct, because that was by design, a design to intentionally deceive the general public into believing the plastic you buy is recyclable. Yes, recycling is a literal lie concocted by the plastics industry to sell you more plastic, and this is how it was pulled off.
I love how like all of the arguments that he makes could be applied easily to the capitalist system itself. Like, oh, the plastic industry is fleecing you. It's fleecing you. So what's your solution, buddy? That's my question. Like, these people are so easy. They have such an easy time identifying the problems with the capitalist system, the capitalist mode of production, but they don't want to take this rationale to the very obvious logical conclusion that we need a system which is actually designed to facilitate the well-being of human life where the means of production are held in common.
Plastic of the world
Possibly use. Oh, that's not so much.
only one single loan that requires only one fixed monthly payment with a clear payoff date, so you can escape this vicious cycle once and for all? Well, you're in luck because that's where Upstart comes in, today's video sponsor.
Yeah, fuck you.
Plastic production started in the early 1900s. It was marketed as a material of 1,000 uses, and it was making money and gaining popularity slowly, but it was nowhere near its real earning potential. Then World War II hit, and since economic power was just as important as military power, wars aren't free after all, the government started prioritizing the production of this new material that wasn't just very useful, but also very profitable. You see, the military had to get money from somewhere to keep fighting the war, and plastic was an industry with a lot of potential just waiting to be exploited. So during World War II alone, plastic production in the US increased by 300%. Plastic took the place of steel in cars and warplanes, it replaced paper and glass packaging, and even wood furniture.
Plastics will play as large a role in peace as they do in war. Here is a plane containing hundreds of plastic parts. Here, another bonded by plastics. This paratrooper floating down to welcome Mother Earth is depending on plastics to get him there safely.
Alright, this is boring. Let me see if I can find something. Let's see. Chinese billionaires. I think I saw Jack Ma die there for a second. North Korea needs to chill out. I'm so afraid to click on this. I'm afraid the cringe levels will make me vomit. But there is no fucking page I will not leave unturned. So let us do it.
So you run North Korea, a tiny country that most people don't know anything about. You're the supreme leader.
That includes you, asshole. So fuck you. You don't know shit about North Korea either. I'm just throwing that out there.
Dear respected comrade, the beloved father. To the North Korean people, you are their greatest hope and joy. You are their god. But your people are starving. Everyday life is a struggle. People are malnourished. Even doctors only receive a salary of $1 a month.
Where? Okay, so hold on a second. Doctor in Haeju, North Korea. In Haeju, North Korea. What? Okay, or $20,000, range from 300. How much does a doctor make in Haeju, North Korea? The average salary of a doctor, the average additional cash compensation for a doctor in Haeju, which range salaries estimate submitted anonymously on the Glassdoor's doctor in Haeju, North Korea area. The highest salary of doctors in South Korea is what is the lowest now? Yeah. Let me see. Oh, Naomi Park! Yomi Park. She's the source for that claim. See that shit? She is the source for that claim. The doctors and the DPRK only make $1. So then opinion discarded, factoid discarded. It's just automatically wrong because she's literally paid by the news media to slander her homeland. So fuck her. But anyways, no, not you. As I was saying, I bet you we're going to have a million other points over the course of this video where we pause it, fact check that shit, and find out that it's bullshit. But yeah, no, where was it? Oh, their people are starving. Oh, yeah, you're right. Their people are starving. Yeah, maybe if we didn't sanction the ever-living fuck out of them and we actually allowed them to participate in the global economy, then they wouldn't be doing nearly as badly as they are right now in that regard.
Not enough to feed a family for a day. Most of the population doesn't even know what it feels like to have their stomachs full.
What did you look forward to as a kid? What was exciting for you?
Yomi Park, thank you. I rest my case. Thank you. That is where that principal claim came from.
Like, what was fun? Oh, I can't wait to go do this with my sister, my dad, my mom. What was it that you look forward to?
I mean, there's like when you're born in North Korea, like life is a struggle. So I never really ate until I felt full. So I never knew how much I actually could eat and then be satisfied with it.
And North Korea is literally the darkest place on Earth.
Okay, so a little context behind that picture. North Korea turns off its lights at night. They turn off their lights at night to save power. But otherwise, there are pictures of the DPRK being lit up similar to that of China over here. Like, they have lights on over here. They just turn their shit off at night because they deal with power shortages.
I think the word clock going forward, but when you look at the North Korean people's clock, it's going backwards.
The fucked up part about this is if the DPRK was actually allowed to participate in global trade and wasn't basically the most sanctioned country in history, that its economy would be so much stronger right now. I doubt it would be surpassing the South, I mean, it's possible that it could be on similar economic brawling terms as the South, but otherwise, excuse me, I'm just saying, the DPRK would be in a much stronger position than it is right now.
Now, most people assume that this
also, look, another clip. This shit is not, this is from movie, The Interview. So, anti-North Korea propaganda. It's not even from the actual DPRK.
Because your country is poor. You're obviously not as advanced as Western countries, so the starvation must be because of a lack of food, lack of plenty, or maybe there's just not enough money to support your farmers.
Maybe it's because you're strangled with fucking sanctions by the most powerful empire in history. And your next door neighbor, China, upholds those sanctions on you. So there's virtually no way you can get enough food in your country because you're a mountainous fucking plateau that does not have sufficient land to grow all of your own food. Maybe that has something to do with it, asshole.
Not a complete lie.
You don't want to listen to that. You don't want to talk about that. You just want to do propagandizing about the evil, weird kingdom that simultaneously is too poor to feed its own people while hosting a massive Truman Show in the form of a show trip in Pyongyang. Yeah, see this shit? This is all just a show. None of these buildings are real. They're all fake. They're all fake, and all of the people that you see right here are paid actors. All of these people are paid actors. None of them are real. This isn't a real city. These aren't real people. It's all just a show.
A complete lie you've carefully crafted for the world to believe. The truth is, North Korea is not poor. You spend billions upon billions of dollars making state-of-the-art weapons and nukes that even have Americans on the edge of their seats. Your people aren't being fed, yet you could destroy a small nation with a push of a button.
Oh my god, those two things are not the same. Yeah, the DPRK prioritizes its military, but it does not have the fertile soil within its local domestic region in order to grow the food as to feed all of their people, so they have to rely on imports. Congratulations. You have successfully pointed that out, but otherwise, yeah, it has a sizable military because it has minerals within its mountains. It has resources domestically to equip and provision said military, and it is actually very intelligent that they do so, because they quite literally have their fucking backs to the wall.
So if your country is so backwards, so poor that 90% of the population is starving, how are you enjoying all the perks of life?
No, not even fucking close. Okay, so the actual percentage of people within the DPRK, which are chronically undernourished, numbers at about 20%. And that sounds pretty bad. That's the number of people that get under 2,500 calories a day. That's like 2,200 or lower, I believe. And that sounds pretty bad, because it is. However, when you consider that India, their next door neighbor, has 40% of their population chronically undernourished, 40% of their population starving. And when you consider the other areas in the region, from Nepal to Indonesia, North Korea actually is doing very well for itself. Like, if you look up their Human Development Index, no, not Korea. I know for a fact it's like 0.78. What the fuck is it? Blue. So yeah, like 0.78 is North Korea's Human Development Index. 0.78, 0.8. Okay, let's see what it is in India. It's like 0.4 to 0.6. What is it in South Asia, Southeast Asia, and Indonesia, like all this area? Oh, look, it's 0.4 to 0.6. Look at that. North Korea has a higher fucking Human Development Index than all of Southeast Asia, all of South Asia combined, higher than Africa, higher than like fucking hundreds of millions of vast, expansive continent. So yeah, no, North Korea is, like, I'm not saying it's a fucking paradise, far from it, but like the idea that like it's just an absolute shithole where nobody is surviving is utter nonsense, totally false.
As the supreme leader, how are you living in luxury if North Korea is apparently so poor? To understand how, we have to learn a little bit about the art of ruling over humans. This is How to Be a Dictator, the economics of North Korea.
Pure fucking projection, dude. Like the idea that the fucking Kims live like god kings relative to everybody else. Like, dude, that is so much more true of capitalism. Like, you have no fucking idea what the fuck you're talking about. Like, fucking seriously.
One of the perks of being a dictator is that you get to feast like a modern day king. That's where Magic Spoon comes in, today's video sponsor, who is for—
Oh my god. You know what I want to do? I want to take this fist and plant it through that goddamn screen right now. Oh my god, that aggravates the ever-living shit out of me. Oh my god, bullshit, fuck you. But anyway, dictator. Kim Jong-un is only in charge of the military. He is not in charge of the military plus every other branch of the government. He is not an omnipotent dictator that's in control of everything. Like I said, only the military. They have like several other departments within their government which are not the military, to which he does not rule. All right? He is not the formal president of the country. He's not even the most powerful man in the country. All right? You've got fucking 4 political parties within North Korea. They have a multi-party parliamentary democracy where people vote for their own candidates and elect various people to various bodies within government. You know, he's not just a fucking dictator. Bullshit, fuck you.
Our values, our political beliefs, our belief in the concept of freedom is all a result of every single little bit of information our environment has shoved in.
Again, a movie, a work of fiction. He is taking clips from a literal fucking work of fiction for his little propaganda piece right here to shit on North Korea. This is not actual footage of the DPRK, people. This is shit he's taking from The Interview, which is a propaganda piece, which the president of the United States in 2008, Barack Obama, told people to go out and watch.
Into our brain. If we were never taught the concept of freedom, if we never overheard anyone else talking about it, we would never know that this concept of freedom even exists. That's why to control subjects to make them believe in your goodness and power, you have to control every single little piece of information that goes into their head. If you can control what your subjects think, do, eat, and make, you'll never have to worry about any pesky rebellions or revolutions. And if you do this well enough, you'll never—
Okay, so the DPRK, the North Korean government, has the consent of its people, and that's the reason why you don't have to worry about any revolutions or overthrows of their country. I'm telling you right now that the people of the DPRK are behind their leadership, and if they weren't, then they could have overthrown it by now. Why do you think that we had the overthrow of East Germany and the communist bloc? People saw capitalism as a get-rich-quick scheme. They were increasingly connected with the outside world. They saw it as a get-rich-quick scheme, and that's the reason why they sought out the restoration of capitalism. And then when they saw how fucking shitty it was, that's when they all miraculously started voting to restore communism. But then the capitalist governments had to rig elections and threaten to unleash the army on people in order to stop that from happening.
never even have to worry about someone getting the idea of revolution or democracy in their head. There are a few ways we can go about this.
There's already democracy in the DPRK, you piece of shit.
One of Plato's famous stories talked about prisoners who grew up chained together in a cave. Behind them was a fire.
I'm done with your bullshit. I'm done listening to your fucking shit. No wonder why people recommended this channel to me. God damn. Oh my god. 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 Sorry guys, I do not have the patience for that shit. But it's all good. Because what I do have is some vodka. Well, Trav hates Moppin and Haas. I don't hate Moppin or Haas. I just don't care for them. I have my criticisms of them, and I think they're both fucking charlatan religious zealots. But otherwise, I don't even want to talk about them. Anyways, load more complicated than in Eastern Bloc. Yeah, I know. I'm aware. Like, it's way more fucking complicated. But my point is that people wanted capitalism. They got it back. And they ended up regretting it. And you can, unlike capitalism, you can actually vote out socialism. So, lo and behold, look at what ended up happening within that context. Philosophical zombie hunter. Could I give it a quick explanation of the DPRK for us who aren't worried about it? Sure. I mean, it's a multi-party parliamentary system. Kim Il-sung is only in charge of the military. Otherwise, there's like 6 other branches within the government, 6 other departments with their own elected representatives and bodies at the helm. The DPRK actually has an incredibly democratic system. Let me show you the parties of the DPRK. Political parties of DPRK. Because they actually do have like a multi-party system. All right, cool. Korean Social Democratic Party. They have the Cheonggu. They also have a religious party as well. So yeah, the Workers' Party of Korea. But the point is that they have multiple parties. And you can vote for multiple parties. There is democracy within the DPRK. There's workplace democracy within the DPRK. People are going to sit here and say like, oh, well, it's not really meaningful democracy. What do you call having a fucking fascist dictatorship for decades within South Korea then? Are you going to call that democracy? Like, seriously, at least within the context of socialism, you can actually vote out socialism. I'm telling you right now, if the people of North Korea really wanted to return to capitalism, they could. They would have more freedom to return to capitalism than the people of South Korea do to progress forward to socialism. And that is the gospel truth. Yeah, exactly. Real democracy is vote for elephant and or donkey. Yeah, no, same with China, dude. Like in China, there's more ideological diversity within the CCP than there is within the Republican and Democratic Party combined. China has 8 minor parties in a united front against fascism. Yeah, like no. Like people want to look at these countries like they're just fucking dictatorships. Like and it's totally fucking bullshit too. Like these countries they're democracies. Like I think a lot of it comes down to Orientalism, like kind of like racist assumptions about Asiatic governments, like, oh, it's so mysterious. We see people with monolith slants trying to do politics. Like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, dude. You're a white motherfucker. You're a cracker ass bitch. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Fuck you. All right. So what do we got here? He doesn't do any philosophy. I talked about COVID yet, bruh. Rewind the first 15, 20 minutes of the stream. Have you ever talked about COVID? Yes, I have. Libs cannot understand that you can have democracy without many parties. Yeah, I'm in favor of a one-party dictatorship, all right? I don't think there should be multiple political parties. But I will tell you right now that the DPRK is a fucking democracy. Fucking the DDR, East Germany, was a multi-party parliamentary system. There was democracy in East Germany. There was democracy within the Warsaw Pact. All right. There's a reason why there was virtually no bloodshed and very little violence when it came to the transition from communism back to capitalism, but there would be millions dead. It's civil war, like literal civil war, millions dead if it were to go the opposite direction from capitalism to communism, because capitalism is fundamentally not a democratic system, my guy. I must say, one-party democracy is way more based. Yeah, no, I'm very much in favor of a one-party democratic system. You really only need one party. But anywho, let's go ahead and look for other shit to watch. Let's watch. I don't know what I want to watch. Let me take a look. What are we looking for, guys? Let's look for, I don't know what I want to watch. I had something that I wanted to watch. It was like on the tip of my tongue, but I legit do not remember. Why are we always at war? No, I don't want to watch any more Jake Tran. Fuck you. I mean, I got PragerU on. I got fucking PragerU right here, so why not? You guys want to watch some PragerU? Huh? Have you seen Jackson Hinkle's Very Bad, Not Good Day? No, I have not. Sure, let's check it out. Watching some Jackson? Sure. Very Bad, Not Good Day. Never mind. I don't see it, and I don't care. Wokeness exposed in corporate America. Big tech and the media. Jordan Peterson's crazy prediction in Google woke year in search. What is wrong with atheism? Is America racist? Why does God allow bad things to happen to good people? Where's your short little 5-minute videos, PragerU? I know for a fact you got them. Pitbull slams America haters. Jocko Willink pumps up all we need. Okay. Let's see what Jocko Willink has to say.
Discipline defeats the infinite excuses that hold you back. Some people think motivation is what will compel them to get things done. But motivation is just an emotion, a feeling. And like all feelings, it's fickle. It comes and goes. You can't count on motivation to be there when you need to get through truly challenging times.
Oh, yeah?
But you can count on discipline.
Thank you, Jocko. So I'm gonna go ahead and be right back. 1 second.